Every night, you do something that should be terrifying. You lie down, go unconscious, and stop paying attention to the world for hours, defenseless, aware of nothing. You spend around a third of your entire life this way. From an evolutionary point of view, that is almost insane. An animal lying still and oblivious for 8 hours is an easy meal. So for nature to allow sleep to survive at all, sleep must be doing something so important that going without it is more dangerous than lying helpless in the dark. And it turns out that is exactly right. Take sleep away, hour by hour, and your body and mind come apart in a strict and startling order, ending in a place most people never imagine. Because at the far end of sleeplessness is not just exhaustion, it is death. Start with the most famous test of how long a person can last. In the winter of 1963, a 17-year-old named Randy Gardner set out to break the record for staying awake as a high school science project. Under the eye of a Stanford sleep researcher, he kept himself up for 11 straight days, 264 hours without sleep. He did not simply get tired, he came apart in stages, and those stages are a map of what sleeplessness does to all of us. In the first day, roughly the first 18 to 24 hours, the body starts fighting back with something called microsleeps. These are tiny involuntary lapses where parts of your brain flick off for a few seconds at a time, even with your eyes open. You are technically asleep for an instant without knowing it, missing a chunk of the road or the conversation. This is exactly why drowsy driving is so lethal. Around this same point, your impairment starts to look a lot like drunkenness. Being awake for roughly 17 to 19 hours straight slows your reactions and judgment about as much as being over the legal blood alcohol limit. You are, functionally, driving drunk on nothing but tiredness. It is not only your brain that suffers in that first day either. Your body keeps its own scorecard. Even a single night of lost sleep measurably weakens your immune defenses, worsens how well your body handles blood sugar, and scrambles the hormones that govern hunger, pushing the ones that make you feel hungry up and the ones that make you feel full down. That is why a bad night can leave you not just foggy, but ravenous and run down at the same time. Sleep loss does not stay politely inside your head. It reaches into nearly every system you have, all at once. Push past the first day and the mind begins to distort. Somewhere between 1 and 2 days without sleep, the world starts to feel strange and unreliable. People become irritable, anxious, and clumsy, struggling to focus or hold a thought. Colors and sounds can warp. By the second and third day, it gets genuinely frightening. Sleep deprivation begins to produce hallucinations, seeing things that are not there, and disordered, paranoid thinking. Push further still, past about 72 hours, and the picture can resemble a kind of temporary psychosis with full delusions. Randy Gardner, by the end of his ordeal, was hallucinating and paranoid, at one point convinced a radio host was a real person conspiring against him. The remarkable thing is that he recovered, sleeping it off over a couple of nights with no obvious permanent harm. But his mind had shown, step by step, how quickly the machinery of a sane, functioning brain unravels without its nightly reset. Which raises the real question, what is that reset actually doing? For a long time, sleep was a genuine mystery. It obviously mattered, but nobody could say precisely why the brain needed to switch off. In the last decade or so, one of the best answers has come into focus, and it reframes sleep entirely. Sleep is not the brain resting. Sleep is the brain cleaning itself. Your brain is an incredibly busy organ, and like any busy machine, it produces waste. All day, as your brain cells fire, they generate metabolic byproducts, molecular garbage that builds up in the tissue. During the day, while you are awake and thinking, there is no good time to take out that trash, so the brain waits for sleep. When you fall into deep, slow-wave sleep, something remarkable happens that researchers have actually watched. Your brain cells physically shrink, and the tiny spaces between them open up, expanding by around 60%. Cerebrospinal fluid then rushes through those widened channels, washing through the brain like a tide and flushing the day's waste out. This cleanup crew even has a name, the glymphatic system, and it runs mostly while you sleep. What it clears out is not trivial. Among the waste it flushes away are proteins like amyloid-beta, the very substance that clumps together into the plaques found in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. When you shortchange your sleep, you are not just feeling tired the next day, you are skipping the wash cycle, letting that molecular waste sit and accumulate a little longer. This is one of the deepest reasons sleep deprivation feels so corrosive, and why chronic sleep loss is increasingly linked to serious long-term harm. The tiredness is the surface. Underneath, the brain's self-maintenance is being cut short. Now for the part that proves sleep is not optional, the darkest corner of this whole subject. There is a rare inherited disease called fatal familial insomnia. It is caused by a misfolded protein, a prion, that slowly destroys a deep part of the brain called the thalamus, which helps run sleep. As the disease progresses, the person loses the ability to sleep. Not has trouble sleeping, loses it. They stop being able to fall asleep at all, and there is no drug that can force it. Over months, robbed of sleep entirely, the body and mind deteriorate, and the disease is always fatal, usually within around 18 months. People have literally died from being unable to sleep. And it is not only humans. In laboratory studies, animals kept from sleeping completely do not just weaken, they die. Total, sustained sleep loss is not survivable. So put the whole picture together. Miss one night, and your brain throws up microsleeps and hazes into a drunk-like fog. Miss 2 or 3, and it starts hallucinating and slipping toward paranoia. And take sleep away completely, permanently, and it kills you, because the nightly cleaning and repair your brain depends on simply never happens. That unconscious third of your life is not wasted time, and it is not the opposite of being productive. It is the price of keeping a working brain. Your body treats sleep the way it treats breathing and heartbeat, as something it cannot safely go without. When you feel that pull to close your eyes at night, that is not weakness. That is the most important maintenance your body ever does, asking to begin. Your Body Explained. This is Bodyling.